What's up, everybody? Funnel Doc here. I'm excited to be here for today. It's a high level, and I'm talking about AI, two of my favorite things. So today we're going to be breaking down conversational AI. I'm going to be talking about the new knowledge base, going over all the different updates and different use cases and ways that you can be using conversational AI, as well as some of the different case studies and things we're doing it within my own ecosystem and my students. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in. So to access conversational AI, you've got two different ways. You can go to settings and then to conversational AI, or on your main page, you can go to AI agents. Then you're going to see the conversational AI tab here, where you can use these different ones to be able to test and create. They've got little steps here to be able to help you to be able to build out your bots. We're not going to pay attention to any of those. We're going to go ahead and jump on in. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about this today. So just ignore these guys. Those are for newbies that don't know everything you're going to know by the end of this. So you've got two different things that you need to pay attention to on the right-hand side. This is your managed knowledge base, which we're going to get to that towards the end of the training, and then we're going to get into creating bots. Now, some of the different things that I want you to keep in mind, especially the conversational AI and chatbots in general, or AI automation bots, they're usually best when they're task specific. So the more focused you can make them to do like one or two things, maybe like answer questions and schedule a call, something that's more like, don't try and make them do like 10 or 12 different tasks. You're going to find that it's going to start to hallucinate. It's going to lose track of everything. Bots in general tend to work best when they're focused on one specific task or goal. So just keep that in mind. One of the things we're doing now with like demo videos and webinars and all different stuff is having a bot that's specific for different parts of where that person is, engaging with them during the actual presentation themselves. Or you want, for if you have maybe a plumber or a roofer, you want that bot that is on the registration page or your landing page to really its sole purpose would be to get them to schedule an appointment with you so that you could potentially sell them your services. So you want to be able to focus on that task. Don't have it trying to do 20 or 30 different other things, especially with the fact that they let you make up to 20 bots inside a high level. So take full advantage of that and try and make your bots as specific as possible when you're working with each one. So to create a bot, you're just going to come right here and click up. What do you know? Create bot. And then you've got two different tabs here. You've got your general Q&A, which is like FAQ bot, answering stuff about pricing and different stuff like that. And then you've got the ability for a appointment booking bot. To be honest with you, I don't use either of them. I always start from scratch with everything just because I'm going to be making my own prompt. I'm going to be doing all my own settings. And I always want everything customized for the situation or area that I'm using that bot. So I always start from scratch with these guys. So we're going to go to continue. Next thing we're going to do here is come right to where it's going to say bot name. It's going to always have a new employee, whatever billionth number it is. I wonder, is that how many bots they've actually made? Because we can't have made that many. But it's just, I was just wondering where they're randomly coming up with this number. But anyway, it will assign a random number. You're going to want to give your bot its name right here. I usually like to call my bot Spark because it sparks your imagination when you use it. Now, you do have three different use modes right here. The first is obviously off. It's not going to work at all. Next one is suggestive. What that does is when that's on, in the chat window of the conversation tab, when you're conversing with a actual contact, it's going to give you suggested things to say. I'm going to be honest with you, I've never known anyone to use the suggestive. It's, in my opinion, a little silly, but maybe for someone that's really new or not, it's not their native language, it might be something that can help them or prompt them on what to say. I never use it. I always either use off or autopilot, which is also on. Not sure why they just didn't call it on, but anyway, it's autopilot. Now, the other one here are all the different channels that you have. Now, realize that when this bot's on and you select this channel, if somebody replies in that channel, it's going to reply to them. It's going to automatically be on. So you've got Instagram, Facebook, chat widget. Now, realize there's two different types of chat widget. There's the static one that's going to be going through like text message or back and forth via, uh, like I said, SMS. And then the other one's a live chat widget that's going to be embedded in the page, that it's actually going to be dynamic, that it's going to be real time and you can talk with it. And then they recently, well, not too recently, probably 2 months ago, now added WhatsApp to it as well. You can select one or all the channels as you see right here, and then to get rid of them, you're just going to hit the little X next to it, or you can click on the name inside here and it'll turn it off as well. Right now, we're really focusing on a lot of live chat widget engagement for on-site engagement for bots. I find that's really good because you're able to turn these off and on and have it seem like it's a seamless engagement in the chat widget, but it can be multiple different bots. Next thing here is your business name. It's going to default to whatever your sub-account name is. If you want it different than that, make sure you put it in here, and that way that it's recognized that way. Next thing is the amount of time before responding. Now it's preset, I believe, to like 2 or 3 or whatever, but I always set this to the lowest, which is 1 second. It's up to you on your response, but this is the amount of time the bot's going to take to reply to somebody or respond to somebody. Now realize that's for every message. It's not just like your initial one. A lot of people are like, well, I don't want it to respond right away on the initial message because then they're going to know it's AI because nobody replies that fast. So they're trying to put a delay in there, which makes sense in theory. But the problem is when you're using the autopilot mode and you're setting up this way, and you're setting up and you set it for like, oh, say I want like a 5-second delay. Cool. For the first one, that's great. But from every reply on, it's going to wait 5 seconds before it sends a message. And that's on top of any potential, there's not a lot, but potential latency that could be there. So it could all of a sudden go from 5 seconds to 7 seconds, and it can really drag out the conversation potentially. So I personally always set this for 1 second to let it be the quickest amount of exchange back and forth. But for your business or your case example, it might be different. Next one is the maximum amount of messages the bot can send back and forth before it cuts itself off. Now you can go to the conversation tab, click on the person that the bot is conversing with, and if you mark all the messages as read in there, or READ, read like seen, it will then reset the bot for that. But I always max this out as well at 25. And then the next thing is how long you're going to send the bot to sleep. If you manually message someone, or if a workflow is messaging them or something like that, which this is just a good way to watch out for redundancy. Or if you have your like sales team and they're messaging people a lot, you're going to use this more often, because the last thing you want is your sales team in there and the bot's like chiming in on top of it. It can be really confusing. So that's when this tends to be the best. I personally, when I do use this, make it pretty short. It's right around 30 minutes is what we usually set this in. But different case situations, you might not want to use it at all. You might want to allow the bot to automatically re-engage no matter what. Or if you have a depending sales time frame that you know from usually the first time that your client engages with their salespeople, the time they're done, you could always set it for that. And then it does go for hours, minutes, and seconds. Once you're happy with everything, you're then going to come to the bottom here and hit your save button. Now, they do have the upgrade here to unlimited AI employee. You are going to see that this is 2 cents per message. So again, if I do 10 messages, 20 cents, whatever, it adds up real quick, especially if you're doing a lot of big programs and a lot of traffic. So keep in mind the base price for the unlimited AI employee, I believe, is $97. And that makes it so that all your messaging is unlimited. Now, if you're using SMS or WhatsApp or email, no, it doesn't do email, sorry, SMS or WhatsApp or any other potential platforms that would have a base cost to it, this 2 cents is on top of that. So it'd be whatever it costs for you to send the text message if you're using SMS on top of the 2 cents. So it's just something to be aware of. Not a big expense at all, but if you're working with clients, you always want to make sure that your clients know about every potential cost that could happen. Once that's set up, and again, if you're running an agency, I would almost always recommend just go with the unlimited AI. It's $100 a month basically, and throughout your different sub account. Well, it needs to be on each sub account, but you're definitely going to see return if you're pushing any type of traffic with that. So next thing we're going to be looking at here is your bot training. Hit save. There we go. What's it doing? Oh, yeah, sorry. So we'll put it there. Now we'll go to bot training. Now, this is where your knowledge base is going to be. You're going to have one that's going to be called your, what is it called? Like essential knowledge base. It's like your base knowledge base off of every bot that you're able to pull in here. Existing knowledge base. That was it. Existing knowledge base. This technically should be called like a global knowledge base, because how it works, the existing one is whenever you put in a knowledge base inside a bot itself, it's added to the existing knowledge base. So you'll see right here, I have the ability to add web crawling in here or FAQ. If I add this, that's going to go to the existing knowledge base right here, is like a global knowledge base. As well as if you have other knowledge bases, I have a test one in here that you can see you can add them. You can add up to 7 knowledge bases to this one. And then you can see if you want to manipulate them or change them, you can actually switch between the knowledge bases. So you'll see you have a test one here. And like I said, the existing one is sort of like the core one that whenever you add something on and about its core base, it's going to add to that. Sort of like even though you can use them at all, I'm not sure why, to be honest. I would love to know why HighLevel like made that. I don't know. I guess it's because maybe some of them had existing knowledge bases before they added knowledge base to it, and it continues on. But you're able to have up to 7 different knowledge bases per bot. If you want to create a new knowledge base, you can either go to the knowledge base tab right here or hit create new. If you go in there again and hit your knowledge base, it's going to take you there, allow you to make a new one. The cool thing is you can pick and assign these. Now, you do have the name here, which is supposed to be test, not teast. Test, and then description. Now, description is really important for these. Not only does the name important because it's how the bot's going to identify the knowledge base, but it's going to also look at the description, and from that, it's going to discern when it's going to need to pull information from that knowledge base. So make sure that you are really specific on name and description, what's inside. As you can see here, it's got the same basic features as it did on the existing knowledge base. You've got the ability to add a URL to it. Now, with these URLs, if you use exact URL, it's going to go right to that one URL and nothing else. If you use URLs with the same path, if it's anything that's like, maybe it's like funneldoc.com/free gift or something, and then it'd be that path is that after that that /, so anything with a similar path to that, it's going to go after that. And then the last one, it's got all the URLs within the domain. So anything that would have funneldoc.com on it is going to be scraped. So it's sort of like exact, a little bit more spread out, and then all URLs is like everything that they got. Now, once you've downloaded a domain or anything like that, let me see if I get a document. No, once you do it, it's going to pull it up down here. Let me just grab a document real quick and show you. One of the things that you can do that works really well is to grab a document that's a Google Doc, and you set it for so that you can have it for share so that anyone with the link. And what I'll do is I'll put it in right here into the URL, because right now you can't upload files. If you look at the bottom here, it says you can't upload files. So you can't upload text or anything like that. So one of the ways you can get around that is you can upload a Google Doc. So you go hit data, you'll see it's go fetching. What it's doing is scraping page at that point. Again, this could be a website. It could be any type of URL. I've never tried putting a YouTube video in here. I wonder what happened. If anybody's ever tried that, I'd love to know. But I've never tried to put a YouTube video in here. But you can come in, and one of the ways you can get around, like I said, the uploading files, you'll see it like that. Now, once it's scraped everything, you're going to see you're going to have these 3 icons that will appear. The little document shows you everything. There you go. Everything that is scraped is in there. You're going to want to go through this because some of the information it's going to pull is stuff that's not really important to the bot. It could be like stuff from the footer. It could be tag images. It could be a number of different stuff that it could be pulling potentially when it scrapes the page. So go through that. Make sure this is the information you want the bot to have. You'll be able to see the amount of words used here, what the title of it is, and when it was last updated. Now, it does not update automatically. So if you're pulling in a website and you're scraping a website or anything that potentially is dynamic and can change, you're going to need to come back in here and you're going to need to push this little refresh button right here where it's going to cause it to re-scrape it. So again, you could set that and you come in here and have yourself a manual task inside of the task and then set up so like every month or whatever, whenever the data is updated to the site or whatever you're scraping, you can come in here and refresh that. And then of course you got the trash can to delete it. You can come in and then select these guys and delete them or do bulk actions here if you want to delete them all or delete selected or refresh all of them at one time. You can do that in the bulk actions as well. Now, the next thing is the FAQ. This seems a little silly, but it's actually really important. You can put your FAQ in here directly, like if it's a basic FAQ for like your products, your services, or etc. But you're going to also populate this whenever you use the up-down arrows in the chat for when you're looking at someone having underneath the conversation tab, when you're in the conversation screen and you're looking in the middle chat log where it's showing everything in there. If you look and whenever it's talking to the AI, you're going to see a thumbs up and a thumbs down, as well as that little star that means AI in there. Actually, let me pull my own up there so that we'll be able to check that out. 1 second here. And then I'll show you guys what that means. Here we go. Here's me. So nobody other than me. Oh, I don't know that I have chat on that. So, yeah, I don't have one ready with chat. Sorry. So, but what we do is you'll see this thumbs down, thumbs up, and then if you like what the bot's saying, hit the thumbs up, because that's going to really tell the bot, it's going to build off that, it's going to recognize that as a good thing, it's going to actually pull that in and use that as something when it's going from that point forward. If you hit the thumbs down, it's going to put a pop-up that's going to pull up the response the bot gave, and you can completely delete it and give the exact response that you wanted the bot to give. Be careful though, when you do this, it's going to pull that into the FAQs right here, and it's going to use that as like rule number 1. These FAQs override a lot of stuff, sometimes in prompts and other stuff throughout the actual conversation AI system. So if you ever notice that the bot's like replying or doing something a certain way and you're using the FAQ section, go back and check it, because it could be overriding what you're trying to make it do or react. So just keep that in mind. On top of that, you've also got in the ability for chat, like I said, the little chat icon. If you click on that, it's going to show you the prompt. It's going to show you any knowledge bases that it accessed. It's going to show you what bot is active. So that's really important, as well, especially if you're using multiple bots and doing like a handoff process or anything like that, as well as it's going to show you its responses and also the prompt it used. So that's really important to go in there, use it a lot. It's going to help you to really fine tune your bots a lot, especially when you first build these guys. So that is the knowledge base section there. You can see all the tabs do is just click down to the lower sections. They don't really open or go anywhere or do anything like that. So once you've got all the different knowledge bases that you want, you'll see that they'll all be listed in the drop down. Here's a new one, and you can see you can easily switch between the two. You can add new links to it, new FAQs to it, or customize it, but it will be specific to that one. Again, the existing knowledge base, it's not listed. If I go to knowledge bases, oh, it is listed. I didn't think it was. Oh, so there's the existing knowledge base right here, the main one I was telling you guys before that they use. And then the conversational AI back to it. We'll go back to Spark here. And that is all your stuff for your training. Now, over to the side here is your ability to test your bot. Now, you're not going to be charged for your minutes or messaging when you use this, so make sure you use it quite often for testing your initial bots out. And then you can reset it at the top to reset your message. Next thing is your goals. Now, this is where you're going to really set all the different important stuff about your bot. It's the prompt, it's the lifeblood, it's everything really about conversational AI bots. Unlike, voice AI, where you've got a bunch of different actions you can make, fire to help customize and personalize a little bit more. These are limited to 3 here, so you're only able to use 3 of that. So the prompt is very, very important. And that's why also I like to use very specific bots that are only like maybe 1 or 2 functions per bot, just because it's a little bit more limited. So you're going to first have your personality, your intent, and your additional information. Personality is just that. What's the role? What's the goal? What's the personality or traits of the bot? Are using them listed in here? You know, you're a helpful assistant. Your name is so-and-so, etc. That type of stuff. Just a little brief overview of what the bot's essence is, if you could say that way. And then you've got your intent. That's what's the bot's job. What do you want to have accomplished when someone's engaging with it? And then additional information is going to be everything else, any other different rules or different things that you want to put, or different things that you want to make sure the bot's getting still acknowledging. Now, when it comes to knowledge bases, when you're building out your bot, think about your prompt and everything that you got here. Any additional information you're giving it is stuff that the bot's going to use all the time. Okay, so knowledge bases are good to know, and everything in the prompt is have to know. Okay, so sort of think about that. People are like, well, when do I want to use a knowledge base? A knowledge base is anything that the bot's not going to use like almost every time that it's engaging with somebody. If you have some type of information or something like that, and the bot's using it almost every conversation, needs to be in the prompt. Okay, if it's not, if it's like extra information but important, knowledge base. So just keep that in mind. You are able to use custom values and custom fields in here. Highly recommend you do. It's going to allow your bots to be able to customize themselves and the conversation they're having to that specific contact. You're pulling information like what is their traffic temperature, what are their pain points, what their business name is, what their business niche is, where do they feel that they're having the most problems, have they ever engaged with AI before, all these different types of stuff you can pull in, and then when you add that to their contact fields, you can then update it in the actual prompt itself, and then the bot will know this about that specific person. So some of the things we're tracking is engagement levels. How many emails have they clicked? How many emails have they opened? How many times have they engaged with the AI? Because someone that's like a real hot engaged person like myself, that if there's AI, I'm talking to it and texting and using it all the time, versus someone that's new is going to need to be nurtured different. They're going to need to be engaged different. They're going to need to be prodded along, and the bot's going to need to be a lot more friendly. And you can program that in there by pulling in that information and adding it to it dynamically. So the next thing you've got here is your appointment booking. Now, you are able to only do one calendar at a time. So if you come in, you select whatever calendar you have. Now, this is the next one here is don't book appointment, only send link. If you don't want the chat to do its job, which I don't know, I'm sure there's tons of use case for it, but I always want the chat to do its job. That's why I got it here, is I wanted to book the appointment. So I don't really ever click this one, but if for some reason you didn't and you wanted the chat bot to just send the link and then to be able to click on it, go to the calendar, and then book it directly themselves, you would turn this one on. Next one, pause after response after booking. If for some reason you don't want it to continue, or say you want to shut the bot down, maybe you want to have another bot that's taking over, or you just want it to end the conversation, once the appointment's booked, it's going to shut down. I don't really turn this one on, and like I said, unless I'm handing it off to another bot, because usually there's still sometimes questions people have, they want engagement, and sometimes if it just shuts off, it can send a weird vibe to people just because they're like, well, am I booked or whatever? But it's, again, situational for you. Trigger workflow after booking. Now, just like in voice AI, you can come in and you can have as many of these go off as you want. They're going to all fire at the end of the chat conversation. Just like voice AI, also though, be aware that these are going to all fire at the end of the conversation. So if there's emails or text or messages or anything like that that could inundate the user or be overwhelming, be aware of that. Because again, if you have like 7 different emails going off, as soon as the chat ends, that person is going to get bam hit with 7 emails or whatever it could potentially be. So just keep that in mind when you're setting up this for the final workflow, and that they are going to fire at the end of the chat conversation. Now, the next thing, something I really like, because it sort of allows you to do a handoff, because you can come back here and then you can select any of your different chatbots and almost make it like a handoff system. So, you know, if you think about like choose your own adventure, we go to this chat. Well, when this chatbot's done, if it's booked that appointment, you could hand it off to the next one where maybe that one's doing an onboarding process now that the appointment's booked, or whatever your situation could be. But just know that once that appointment's booked, it's then going to hand it off to someone and allow that change to whatever bot that you want to select. Once you're happy with that, you're going to then hit save on it. You are again only able to do one calendar. Next thing is workflows. Just like before, you're going to want to come in here, you're going to select your workflow. You're going to make sure that the name of your workflow and your workflow match, because if not, the bot can have trouble finding the workflow it's supposed to. If I have 2 abandoned carts that are exactly the same like that, how would it know? How would it know which one it's going for? So you'd want to make sure it's tagged accordingly, and then the names match. It's not really case sensitive either, so keep that in mind. Next thing is when to trigger the workflow. So what action, what event, what's going on during the messaging back and forth that you're going to want to trigger this. Maybe it's maybe you're sending them a text message now or something, and you want to open up that channel, and you've gotten their phone number, and now you want to send that. So you're maybe triggering a workflow to send a text message or different things like that. But this is, again, when you want it to trigger, it's going to happen. There is no response like in the voice. Different ones, when things would trigger, sometimes it'd have a response on follow-up, but there's not any on here. You can have up to 3 of these unless they've changed it since last time I saw this, which I doubt they have. Again, it's one. You can have multiple of these just like before as well, but they are going to all trigger at the same time. So just keep that in mind. And you can have a total of 3 workflow triggers per chatbot. Same thing for update contact info. This one's great, but just keep in mind that if you wanted to ask a question, you will have to, unlike the voice one, you do have to put this in the prompt for it to specifically ask the question. So if you wanted like, what is your last name? What is the address of the property? Whatever it is, you're going to have to put that in the prompt for it to know to ask that question. Then you're going to want to have that update the contact field, and these 2 match exactly. So if it was like, what industry are you in? I'd want the field name to be exactly what industry are you in, etc. And then what would you want? What do you want to update? Update the industry of the contact when given, or update whatever it is. Just give a brief description here of what field you want to update. Now, you can go a little more in depth and make it so that it will update certain fields with certain things happen. So you could say like, update this field when the person shows that they're excited or interested in this product or something like that. You can actually make these in the little mini prompts. So sort of think about that when you're designing these out. Again, you can only do 3 of them, so it does limit what you're able to do. But inside here, you're going to want to also give out your output example. So these are what the AI is going to say in the chat. So for instance, if you wanted it to say birthday, like we said before, you would then want it to update it, and you'd put how you want it to update. Like if you want it like January 1st, whatever the year, you wanted numbers, or however you want to give examples of how you want the output to be. So you can do up to 5 examples, minimum of 2. Once you're happy with all that, you're going to hit save, and then once you're done, you've got your last one here, which is stop bot, which it's got automatically, it's got goodbye detection. Which when you turn this on, what it's going to do is it's going to disable the bot when it sees examples of this phrase. You'll see right here when the contact says goodbye or some similar phrase, it's got examples of the phrases down here. It's going to give the final message, thank you for your time, have a nice day, and then it's going to turn itself back on whatever you set it here. You've got your days, hours, or minutes, and then you're going to have different tags where it's going to be able to do this. The great thing about that is you've got multiple tags, so you could use those tags to trigger other workflows and do other things. Again, you're going to be able to have 3 of these. They are not standard on. You're going to have to come on and turn these on. And once you do, you'll see that they're saved. It will highlight green actually and change. And then it'd be whatever situation you might want it to be in. So I came back and add another one. You come back in. Maybe when someone senses anger would be something that's really popular when someone gets frustrated or something. You want to shut the bot down. So this would be like shutting off bot now condition when the contact or user seems upset or frustrated with the bot. And then you could have examples would be like, what the heck's wrong with you? This sucks, or something. You'd want to give example phrases that the bot would recognize to be able to see this as a problem. Then your final message will be like, sorry, you're frustrated with that right now. We'll get one of our human associates to be able to reach out to you. It's in the final message. You deactivate it for however long. And then your tag would be like, contact upset with AI, and then that would trigger a workflow to let one of your human associates know, hey, they need to reach out to this person, they need help, but the bot pissed them off or whatever, so that they need to work around that. So those are the different things right there. Again, you can test it off the left to right here. Once you're done with that, you've got your dashboard that's going to be breaking down all your different conversations. It's going to say whether it's a positive intent or negative intent. Let me jump in my phone box account real quick. I have some on here. We can see. Here we go. One second. So like this one, if you go here, I think I've played with it. Oh, no, it doesn't. But some of these have, but if you go through, you'll see that they have registered. I was just looking at which different ones. I thought I had. Here we go. That one has one. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. Thought it did. Oh, you know what it is? It's the date. If I scroll the date down, because it's not set for recently. But if we go back through to like next month through here, and then pick this date and confirm, you'll see we have some more messages. We've got the time in here, the average time on it, total amount of messages used, and then you've got all your different channels that you can select here as well. And that's pretty much it for conversational bots. I really like inside the workflow, one of the things that we're doing a lot inside there now is using the on-off trigger. If you go to the automations, you can see inside here, this is a great action here that they use. Oh, here, just type AI. And you go to update conversational AI bot status. This allows you to be able to create dynamic handoffs really easily with your conversational AI. So you'll come in here, whatever the trigger action is, it's turning this bot on or off. You'd come in and then you could just pick whatever bots you want, and then you're going to either turn it active or inactive, off or on. Now there is, from what I have seen, there can only be one bot active at a time using the channel. So you're going to want to keep that in mind so you don't have any type of overlap or anything like that. And but this is really helpful to be able to allow your bots to go from one point to another. So if all of a sudden this person becomes a warm lead and you have a special bot that's just for warm leads, you can now deactivate the primary bot and then hand off for there, and it will make a seamless exchange inside the conversation that the person using it wouldn't be able to see it as much. Just make sure you're using custom values and fields inside the prompt so that the new bot is able to have that information and make it seem like it's old. It's not old, but it's recognized and seem like the same bot. So with that, that's going to end the presentation for Conversation AI. At this time, we'll open it up for any type of questions or anything you guys have. Let's see what different comments people have. What's up, Ben? How you doing? Thanks for showing up. McKay, was the last class posted? If so, where? The emails are wonky and timing off. Oh, that's for you guys. Sorry, something else. Can you build 2 bots, both general and conversation, and merge them into one that can handle both? I would just, that's a great question. If you're going to do a general Q&A and booking, I would just make it the start from scratch one. I guess you could pick the Q&A booking bot. but then just add that field. You're really your thing when it comes to booking is just adding the action in there and adding that one field. Once you've added that field, it's going to know and go for the to book the appointment no matter what. I've tested that, and it's going. Once you turn on the calendar, it's going to consistently say, "Hey, do you want to book an appointment? Do you want to book an appointment?" That type of thing. It's pretty seamless with that. So your main prompt would be answering the FAQ stuff, and then if there's anything after the appointment's booked, that type of stuff as well, or if you wanted the conversation to be handled a specific way in the chat. Can you tell the difference between voice AI and conversation AI? Well, obviously, other than one's voice and one's chat, they're pretty same. I mean, they're pretty close to the same. I mean, the prompt is everything for both of these bots. It's really everything about how it works, what flow it does, everything, like whether it's we have bots that are disqualifying or qualifying. We have bots that do dictation, so it takes full statements and do reprints. Like, I mean, you can do so much with these, but the real difference right now is chat is limited with its actions. That's the big thing slowing it down. It could be so much more powerful where conversation, you can do 20 workflow triggers, 20 update contact fields, as well as they have the new custom action that when it comes out soon that you're going to be able to post as well as grab information and pull it in. It's going to be so cool. But as far as difference, somebody said something. They are completely different entities at this point. Oh, okay, yeah. Thanks, Nick, for covering that, but that's what they meant. Yeah, they're totally different. They're sort of laid out the same to some degree, which is smart for HighLevel because you want things similar as far as that goes, but they're two completely, totally different platforms. If we go here to AI agents and look at voice, you'll see that we go into, we'll just create one real quick. Again, you'll go into the name business. The difference is you've got your languages right here where in your voices. You do have time zone, which time zone is not in the conversational AI bot. And again, you've got your inbound message. Now, once you get past that, though, and go to your goals and go to your advanced, it's very similar. The chat is broken up into the first one is prompt, intent, and additional information. I believe that's how it's broken up, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's prompt, prompt, intent, and additional information. So it's broken up a little different, but it's still all riding off the prompt. The prompt is really the thing that makes it happen. And then your actions are the other things that really separate the two, is you've got so much more availability of stuff to do within voice. And it's just cooler. But the truth is, when it comes to chat, everybody's used to chat right now. Chat is very friendly. Everybody's used to chat. Not everybody's used to chatting or talking to someone yet. One of the big things I found with AI, especially with voice, is that people are ready to be sold by AI, but they're not ready to hand their money over to AI. Just like when credit cards, when the internet first started and everybody's like, don't put your credit card in there, they're going to steal all your information. Well, you have to be very careful of that depending on what it is. There is a little bit of truth, but that fear that was there, with a lot of the tests and a lot of case studies and everything we're doing, we're finding that even if we have it to where the AI will take the credit card information and be able to transmit it, which again has different privacy rules you have to worry about and stuff like that too. People aren't ready, especially for high ticket. Low ticket stuff, under $1,000, totally different story. AI is closing it left and right. The problem is once you start getting above that 1,000 ticket, people still want to have a little bit of human touch when they're handing over those big ticket numbers. Or at least that's been my experience so far. Give it 6 months. Give it a year. That will totally change. People will giving out their credit cards and people will be having AI sell them left and right. Just right now, the AI is not having problems to like get them closed to understand. It's just when the actual money exchange happens, people are slow from what we're seeing with AI right now. Can you build a quiz bot? Yes, most definitely. You would prompt that into voice AI or into the conversation AI. And in the prompt, after you got through like what its purpose is, its role, all that type of stuff, when you got into the actual scripting of it, you would just script in what the quiz is, and then you could do it even live to where you would be like almost like a disqualifier. Like when we do qualifying and disqualifying for it. So like say you're calling in for real estate and we want to disqualify you to see when you're getting ready to do it, what we do is we ask the qualifying questions, and then at the bottom we tell it, hey, if they say this, they are disqualified. So then we'll tell them, oh, if they say anything like, oh, we want to do our house, sell our house in 3 months from now, I'm just throwing out a round number, then they're disqualified. Or if the price is under this amount, they're disqualified. And then the AI recognizes it and does that. So you could do something similar like that with your chat if you wanted. You could dynamically have it so it updates each question if you wanted to. You could have it, under the update, the contact fields. You could have it to where it after each one could tell them, no, that's wrong. This is, so it'd make it like a dynamic type quiz. Yeah, I definitely think you could do that both in chat or in voice, either way. And then Nick says pretty much the same thing I said. So there you go. Can you trigger a bot appointment when lead responds to an SMS? So you could do that. So what you could do, let's look at it right now. Let's go back to my other one. I don't want to mess with this one. Yeah, so we go into just a basic automation in here, and we wanted it to be when someone responds to an SMS. Now, are you going to use a response word for your trigger? This is something that is really used a lot with some of the people, like Perry Belcher's a friend of mine. He had people that he was like, oh, reply amigo and stuff, and then that would trigger the bot. Or is it just going to be any response? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to customer replied as your actual trigger. Now your filters with your actions are so important. Your triggers are so important because it really allows you to break it down and get really specific. So I go heavy with filters usually. But in this one, we're going to first go, I love the fact too that you can put in here intent type, and then you can be negative or positive. So they say something negative or positive and fire off of that. I love playing with that. What I was saying before, so if it contains the exact phrase, you put that like amigo. But the first thing I always do is, what is the channel? So what's the channel? Is it SMS? Is it? And that's one of the things that you can only pick one of these for each one, so you can't like select them all. So if you wanted SMS, if you wanted Facebook, if you wanted any of those messaging channels to all trigger in one workflow, they would all need to be triggers. And most likely you use like an if else statement to be able to separate them. So you'd come in here. The question was SMS. So you go to SMS. I always like to put in customer replied SMS. And then I love the fact that they extended these out. It used to be like 50 characters, and that sucked so bad because you really couldn't tag them. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll look at it as like, what is the action that's happening there? Is there someone replying something specific where I want it to contain a specific phrase or something like that? Is it a tag that someone, hey, they replied in SMS and they've got this tag on them, so hey, now it's action. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We use that one a lot. That one, I love tags for triggers, works really, really good. And that allows someone to engage somewhere else. You can tag them, reply when they reply SMS or WhatsApp or whatever channel you're using. They don't have to reply a specific word. They're already tagged appropriately. So the bot's like, oh, this is one of our friends. We're going after them or whatever. So we go over the tag, whatever it is. We can just say webinar. Interested in AI webinar or something. So then we come in after that, and then after that, you're going to say you can break it down to there's a specific number for the SMS, which is something that could be really important. I like that. I have a bunch of different numbers because I do a bunch of bot handoffs with voice and do all different types of stuff, and I'm just constantly testing stuff. So I have a lot of numbers. So you'll probably want to be specific on that, unless you only have one number, then it doesn't matter, obviously. And then after that, the final thing is there a specific trigger that you're using in the actual contains phrase or exact match? Now, contains phrase is it can be inside a phrase. Like they could be like, yes, I want to sell my house. And you could put in here, sell house, and it would pull that out of the phrase itself. If you put like exact match, they need to put like stop now or an exact type match on there, which can be a little bit finicky. I usually go with when I'm using it contains phrase, so it can be a little bit more specific. But in your case, instance, you might need it to be narrowed down, and then you'll use that exact phrase match in there. And those are pretty much all the different fields there. In their intent type, they have contains phrase. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So those are. I would really go deep, like I said, on those. You would set that up. And then what you'd want here is contribute when the lead response in SMS. So we've got it responding to the SMS, whatever it is. We're just going to leave it open at that. And you'd have it activate your bot. So you'd go in, and this is where you'd use the update status. You'd come in, pick whatever bot you want, and then it would update that bot at that time and allow that person to have a campaign going back and forth through them. And Nick said, yes, usually reply trigger, filtering to specifics. So what Nick said, there you go. Again, cool. And then he said, I know this is an advanced topic, but I have a question about transfers from bot to bot or IVR bot. I love it. The possibilities of custom fields and custom values to store information from the transition from bot to IVR, because the first bot has not ended before it answers. In voice AI, yeah, great question. From what I've seen and what I've tested, it's not able to, because the first conversation, or the first, like you said, the phone call is not ended. Once they get to the custom action update and you can start doing it that way, you technically could for voice. You said you're referring to voice. So once you get that, because that can happen dynamically, it doesn't have to wait till the end of the call. You could do it then, but not really. Because one of the things I wanted to do is I thought it'd be cool to do languages. Is like, imagine here, the first bot, you call in and you have it set up part of the prompting to detect Spanish. And all of a sudden the person's Spanish, so then it hands it off to the Spanish speaking bot, which can take over. And that can happen and still be cool, but it's not going to transfer information. So it's still cool. You could still have a bot that could do that. But the problem with it is if you get specific information from the first bot, it's not going to hand it off to the Spanish speaking bot now, because it's not dynamic. You can still do that cool handoff, which I'm still going to look at, because I still think that's a really cool option. If there has any place that's multilingual, that it's speaking all the different languages we have. There's only like 7 of them or 8 right now. But still, to be able to hand off to one that speaks your language and then have that bot collect the information so it sort of gets around it would be the way I would do it. But I think that would be really cool. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, let me know. Let's see. Can you build one FAQ bot for everything SMS? Yes, you can definitely build one FAQ bot. If you go into, again, your agents here in your conversational AI, you could just come in and you can just create. Again, I would go from scratch, especially if you're doing that. But it's literally just going in and picking the channels. So if you go to edit right here, you would just want it, for what you're saying, you build one FAQ booking bot for everything. And then you listed all the channels. So yeah, you just come in here and you said SMS. So I do SMS, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and I turn off live chat. And there you go. And then this bot would be able to handle everything. If you set up the booking on it and that type of thing, it'd be able to do all that. Voice AI, I have played with that. I've had it before where they might have shut it off, but I have had it to where it can look it up, but it doesn't really, it's not going to be able to scrape the page. So this is a tricky question. Ahmed, he said, I'm sorry if I misspoke your name, but he said voice AI can't look up a URL, so is conversation more powerful? I'm saying I'm going to give it to voice just because of the amount of custom actions that you can do, the amount of triggers and workflow stuff you can do. I would give it to voice for that reason. Depending though, like what are you using these documents for? That type of things too. because here's the deal, depending on what the information is, you can add it as a custom value and then upload that custom value to the AI. It won't take up hardly any space, but then you go, oh, if situation XYZ happens, refer to this custom value for that information, and that information is whatever you fed it in that custom value. So it's sort of a way to get around it. Hopefully that answers your question. I love the conversational AI bot, but right now, until they get it, which I believe Fer told me it's going to be coming up in the next next month or so. It's in testing, I believe, right now for them to add more actions. Once it adds more actions, we'll see. I do like a lot about the stuff, but again, the fact that voice is going to have the custom actions, which will allow it to be more dynamic via webhooks and stuff, I'm going to give it to voice, man. I'm going to give it to voice. Yeah, I'm give it to voice. On conversational AI, can you trigger a workflow after each inbound message before the next response? Tom. So what you're saying is I want, well, first of all, you only got 3. So that's the one problem we're looking at with it is you only have 3 of them, but you could come in and you could, yeah, I don't see why you couldn't do that. I would prompt in there for the part of it, the prompt would be like wait for response or something. But I don't see why you couldn't have it that, depending on what it is. So you could say they responded to, maybe it's a real estate bot, and they responded they're a buyer. And then that's the first trigger. So now you've got a whole workflow that's triggering because they're a buyer, tagging them and maybe send them emails or whatever, docs or who knows. Oh, he says use case. My use case is to be able to analyze an inbound picture before responding. So that's a little bit different because, again, they can't dynamically pull it in. Everything's triggering right now for the way that these work. Everything fires at the end of the conversation or the end of the chat, voice or chat bot. So that makes it a little bit tougher. Now, if we were talking about when we have that ability for the custom actions and you can pull stuff in via webhooks, then that opens it up. But from right now, no, that's the one limitation that it does suck, is that it would be amazing if we could update stuff dynamically, like when it happens. Once they add that, once HighLevel adds that, their bots are going to be so much. I mean, they're great now. We're a skateboard model. Trust me, I love them. But once they add that, it's going to be so much better, because then the bots are going to be able to know, like, you give a response, it's going to do a bunch of cool stuff, update a value, and now the bot's totally different. You could totally change the whole personality, the way the bot, everything about it, depending on that. That's some of the stuff we're doing in our webinars and stuff, depending on how they engage in spots in the sequence, the amount of emails they open, the amount of stuff they clicked, how much they engage with the AI, all affects the email series and how they're going to put out the emails. None of the emails are templatized. Everything is run off of like custom values and stuff like that. So once we're able to get that dynamic to where it's happening instantaneous, game changer. Can you deep dive into the significant difference between voice and conversation? I think we touched on that just a little bit before. If there's some specific you want, I mean, one's chat, one's voice, obviously, huge difference. Conversation can be on multiple channels at one time. It can be at Facebook, it can be on Instagram, it can be on WhatsApp, it can be on SMS. Can't do email. That's the one limitation with the conversational AI bots, is they can't email. That's a big one. Where voice, every phone number, it needs one phone number for every voice. So where conversation, one bot can be on multiple channels, voice has one channel, one phone number. So that's one difference in it. The difference is, as I showed you too, if you look at their actions, voice has a lot more actions to choose from, just gives you more flexibility and stuff like that. So if that doesn't answer your question, please dive a little deeper into what you want. I'll be more than happy to help you out and answer all your questions. And I definitely can just sort of give me a little interest, because we did talk about it. I just want to make sure I'm covering what you want. I added a URL to GPT to discuss that entered the info, or can't see that in a way. dissect. Then enter the info in the voice AI bot. I'm going to be honest with you, man. ChatGPT is like my best friend. I have the pro plan, the $200 one, and I spend on a slow day, 2 hours talking with chat. That's a slow day. It's usually 4, 5, 6 hours. I consult on it with everything I do practically now. Just because it makes stuff that research and stuff, like we get a new client, I'm doing research on this client for their funnel build out or something like that, or anything like that. Bot research. The other day, I was building out a new bot. I didn't know about the field that much. Guess what? I go ask chat. Now, it doesn't know every nuance that field did. No, it doesn't know every nuance. But the point is, it gives you such a good starting spot where you know how many hours I would have had to use to just find that information. Again, always check your facts because sometimes chat will hallucinate. I don't really get a lot of hallucinating. We'll just go with hallucinating. I can't say the word today. Sorry, I've been training and doing a lot of coaching stuff today, so I can't talk that much. But hallucinations also reflect on prompting. When you don't give a really good prompt and you leave it wide open, it gives it too much room to play. You'll have a lot more hallucinations that way. But yes, the cool thing is I'll give chat, I'll give it a URL to a funnel, I'll give it a URL to a doc, I'll say, hey, break this down. I love to go deep research. I'll use that for research. I use Manus for research. Manus is awesome. You can go to it and have it doing multiple tasks at the same time. Really cool stuff. So I think that pretty much wraps up everything today we went through. Let me know. I know people that wanted to do an actual prompting class, which we can talk to Fur or Nick about that. And if so, I know somebody had done one or was doing one or something, Nick. So I didn't know. I know people last time we did this, people mentioned it. So I don't know if that got covered or what you want to do.
There's a couple other affiliates that are also doing like full prompting walkthroughs, but none of them, all of them are something different, right? And as long as we keep it something different, I'm perfectly fine, or we should be perfectly fine with whatever you want to put out there as far as that goes. I kind of said something about real estate previously, and no one's done a real estate one as of yet, even though it's been on numerous occasions.
Let's do that. Nick's build, next Monday, show up because here's the bot. Voice and chat and automations, real estate, all done. Breaking it all down here. Going to blow you guys' mind. Stuff you hadn't think of. We're going to show it. We're going to have it for buyers. We're going to have it for sellers. We're going to have everything in there you can want and more. Boom. There you go. I'm going to have it all. I'll probably build out a majority of it ahead of time and then review it because, as you know, if you're watching me click every button, it makes it 2-3 hours long versus me just walking you through everything. But yeah, we'll do that. We'll do a real estate. And I'll do both chat and voice over the next week. So next Monday, I'll have a real estate bot with voice, chat, and automation set up. You guys will literally be able to copy this thing and have your own real estate bot ready to go. I'll even give you guys the prompt that I come up with that you can use and modify for yourself. Cool. Any other? Oh, awesome, cool. Somebody said, Ben says, would voice AI be good for Airbnb properties? I think it would be. I think voice AI has great potential for something like that, especially because you can pull in so much information. You can fire off different workflows related to, oh, this person has a problem with their AC. They got a problem getting in. They can't find the place. Whatever their thing is, you can, for like customer service and then just FAQ stuff, like maybe you got like 5 or 6 properties, so it knows about every property. It's able to make recommendations. It'd be able to say, hey, if you're looking at property A, this is what's around it. If you're looking at property B, this is what style it is. I think that there's so much stuff like that both voice and chat are going to dominate in the next year to 2 years. Right now, anytime you're talking to a person, think of this. While you're talking to them, try and focus on what they're saying as well. But while you're talking to them, go, could this be AI? And if it could, it will be probably in the next year to 2 years because all the entry-level jobs, like booking appointments, answering basic questions about stuff, especially with local businesses and stuff. All of it's going to be AI. As soon as we get in there and businesses start seeing case studies start hitting and they start seeing that it's not selling cars like that one, there was one where it was like a Chevy dealer that went up selling one of their Tahoes or something for like $1 or something. As long as we're not having multiple case studies where we're having problems like that, it's not messing up brands and going off the end and calling all people racist names like that one bot did and all different stuff like that. Once we nail it down and people see that it's working perfectly or semi-perfectly, it's going to be an exponential curve. It's going to go from here to hockey stick. It's going to go crazy because that's everybody's waiting. Everybody's heard about it. Everybody's interested. Everybody's curious, but they're scared because it's unknown to most people. All of us on this call think that AI is everywhere because that's what Facebook and whatever feed or algorithm you're into tells you. But once you step outside that echo chamber, you step outside that algorithm being fed to you, nobody's using AI with any consistency. I think it's only maybe 15% of the total population logs into AI of any form with any consistency at all. It's 85% of the world open to you. So just keep in mind, this is by far, you've lost it or it's passed you by. This is still the birthing process of AI. AI hasn't even formed yet. It's if you go back and you look at human evolution, AI is in that goop with all the little organisms being formed, depending on what you believe. I definitely am religious and believe in God and everything. But if you're going back in evolution and they're talking about the little goop in there, that's where AI is right now. It's at the beginning. And even though it feels advanced to you and we're talking about all the stuff it could do, this is the worst it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better from here on out. It's depending on how you look at it. And look at it, better could be worse, but it's only going to do more. It's going to do more, say more, be more. It's going to be everywhere. And when you've got businesses like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all these companies putting billions, not just millions, billions of dollars behind their AI, you will have no choice but to adapt it into your life. And the great thing is you're on these calls right now, so you're taking that by the reins and you're going to control AI and know about it and be informed rather than sitting there and then when it comes around, people are like, what is this AI thing? Where'd this come from? No, you're going to be a leader in your industry. So keep up. You're doing amazing. I'll see everybody next Monday. Thanks everybody for showing up. Real estate bot. I'm excited. That's going to be a good one. I've heard a lot of people that are super excited about that. So anything else before we wrap up? I'm pretty good, Nick.